We're just pleading for anybody to help us.
We just need answers.
This was a schoolgirl taken from a street with witnesses.
Not even 5 minutes of walk, you'd think she'd be safe.
These were brazen abductions.
Amanda Robinson, Robin Hickey and another local woman, Leanne Goodall.
That could be their own 17-year-old daughter in this situation.
He was an odd man. That serial killer has never been apprehended.
As long as any of us is still breathing, we'll never give up.
As most people know, there's a lot of missing persons cases out there. Tens of thousands of people go missing every year. Most of them are found. Some of them sadly are not. One day I was looking over old cases when I came across Gordana's.
For more than 25 years, someone in Newcastle has harboured a chilling secret. What happened to a 16-year-old girl?
Snatched here on Powell Street and forced into a car.
Now there were some elements that intrigued me that made me want to look further. The brazenness of the abduction, the fact this was a schoolgirl taken from a street with witnesses.
Police believe people must have seen her or the white Hilux.
And this idea of the spook.
Gordana ran out of a clothing store, quote, freaked out by a man she called the Spook.
The fact she had been stalked for weeks and months leading up to her disappearance by a man she could identify. And yet police had never charged anyone. The more I looked at the case of Gordana Kotevski, the more I realised it had much more to it than I originally thought. I went to interview former State Coroner John Abernathy, who made a pretty startling revelation. He pointed out that he had presided over the inquest of Gordana, but also over the inquest of 3 other young women who had gone missing from the Newcastle region over a similar period of time.
Amanda Robinson, Robin Hickey and another local woman, Leanne Goodall.
There were alarming similarities between the disappearances of all of these young women. For a start, they all disappeared on the same 23-kilometre stretch of highway. All the young girls looked kind of similar. 3 of them were teenagers, 1 of them was 20. The 3 who disappeared at the end of the 70s were all getting on and off buses. These were brazen abductions. None of their bodies have ever been found. Having looked at all the cases extensively, Mr. Abernathy believes that these may be the work of a serial killer and that serial killer has never been apprehended. John Abernathy made a really interesting point when I was talking to him, and that's that serial killers don't usually stop killing. So if in fact his theory is correct, and one person is responsible for all these deaths, then where are they now? If they're not still killing, are they dead? What's happened to them? It was something that really unnerved me hearing, because essentially this person is still out there.
To the persons who took Gordana and those who hide their secrets, we say, how would you feel if this happened to one of your children?
When I published this story in 2018, little did I know it wouldn't be the end of the investigation, because I received a phone call from a family who in fact nominated one of their family members as the man potentially responsible for these murders, particularly the murder of Gordana Kotevski. He was an odd man who was obsessed with Gordana. This family, who cannot be identified for legal reasons, told me right before she went missing, he often spoke about her and had photographs of her plastered on his walls. Later, they discovered he had been sexually abusing children within the family. On numerous occasions, they had contacted police and tried to report the information, but they had never received a call back. And the last time I spoke to them, which was over a year ago, they told me police had still not followed up.
It is just extraordinary that despite all that evidence back then, that nothing has come of this case.
The investigation into the disappearances of Gordana Kotevski, Amanda Robinson, Robin Hickey and Leanne Goodall was recently reopened by police, with a special strike force set up to look into the cold cases.
These were 3 cold case reviews that had that particular Lake Macquarie feel that we felt if we put investment into it that there's something that we could get a result for.
There has been no resolution yet, and their bodies have not yet been found. But hopefully, for the sake of their long-suffering family members, one day police will be able to bring them some answers.
Heartache and suffering for 40 years.
Sooner or later, perhaps sooner, that a solution will be arrived at and we can put it all behind us.
We'll never give up.